Hello, my friends. Very good evening to you. Today, we are going to discuss on a topic called entrepreneurship, and we will discuss this topic, for our language business. Means entrepreneurship is not, only for selling a product. Just remember, my concept of entrepreneurship comes to you is it is something to do with knowledge as well. When we have this Make in India program or Modi ji's now mission to go local, go global, etc. Think if we think from that perspective, especially when we are talking about language entrepreneurship, there is a big, this is what I have been formulating and this is what I have been advocating for a long period of time, and I will again come back to the same point that who are the facilitators of global communication, language people. And there is a concept called translating ideas, translating culture, translating thoughts. What are these are all form of translation, right? Some translation that we are popularly using the term for translation, that concept is called translating thoughts from one language to another using your pen, using words, text. But if you translate an idea into action, what is it? It is entrepreneurship. So there is a big similarity between what we translate, the profession of a translator. We are what? We are creators. Translators are in a way, entrepreneurs, because you translate thoughts into written form, and from there these thoughts are put into action. There is a person, a philosopher, a very well known economist and philosopher. His name is Bruno Latour, and he has given ANT theory. This is called action network theory. If you get time, Google about Bruno Latour and try to read about action network theory. He talks, about variety of activities going on in current world. And in that activity, when we produce anything, either through knowledge or through, product or something of that sort, or we manufacture something. Either we manufacture material or we manufacture ideas, creativity. So translator comes under idea thing and creativity thing. But Bruno Latour tells us that, action network theory, this is what he's promoted, that, now we cannot isolate a human action from machine's action. Means if you are doing any idea, if you are, translating any idea into action, there are two types of people involved. One is human resources and another is machine resources. When we talk of machine, it can be, industrial machine, it can be computer, it can be, artificial intelligence also. So if we are producing any activity, we must, it is a compulsion, hardly a few of them are left out where we don't use machine. So if we isolate machine from human action and then understand entrepreneurship or any activity, I guess it will be incomplete, or it will be a sort of faulty interpretation or assessment. So using machines, when anybody is producing any action for some activity, in order to translate ideas into action, this is what is called action network theory. So what happens when you have any idea and you plan to do activities? All these things which are there already, they communicate between each other. They do develop coordination, and they start working towards achieving, ideas into translating those ideas into action for desired results. So similarly, if we try and think entrepreneurship among linguists and translators, what are we doing? We are translating documents, and through what? We are using machine. So you as a translator, you exist at one point. Machine is already there. You have been given some idea, and you have to do action. When you have a project, all these these points sync, and they start translating ideas into action. And this is what is again, entrepreneurship. If we look at entrepreneurship from traditional, way, we have, a concept, and that is telling us, since ages, that you take risk and you take reward. But do you really feel that it is only risk-taking capability? There are lots of people, who keep on taking risk, but they don't get any results. In fact, in reality, if you go by passion, if you go by, experience of people, there are thousands of a startup that comes up on a daily basis. But even in US or in India, the position is very low. Hardly out of thousands of startups that come up, 5 to 10% are able to sustain for 2 to 3 years. Only 1 to 2% sustain for a longer period of time. So that means this 95% or 98%, of these entrepreneurship activities, they come and go. People fail. Can you imagine? So if only it was risk, people take risk. They have taken reward also. But in reward, what they get? Failure. So in order to have a successful entrepreneurship career, we have to plan it in a way that we do not incur losses. Imagine you as a translator, or we as a translator or a linguist. We are not aware when tomorrow or day after tomorrow we are going to get a project or not. So we say we are not able to know whether tomorrow we will have income for our bread or butter. Tomorrow whether our family will sustain from the business that we are doing or not. But still you will find thousands of translators, linguists exist, and they continue to take risk. But only risk is not there. It is also the knowledge. It is also the experience. It is also the ability to produce that knowledge and experience and translate it into business and generate employment for your own self and for others. So that is the definition of entrepreneurship from my point of view, which many experts and management gurus have corroborated. Right? So now, after I have defined you my vision of entrepreneurship, I would now like to move on to the entrepreneurship thinking pattern in translation or languages. Right? There are lots of people who are already working somewhere as an employee. and they are getting regular salary on a monthly basis. But still they continue to do some freelance activity. That is one category of entrepreneurs, right? There are some who do part-time job and they get fixed, they get some salary, and at the same time, out of passion, they add more value to their whatever they have learned, and keep on doing activities and earn for the betterment of their family and their own self. So this is the second category where people are part-time and part-time entrepreneur. There is third type, that is called freelancers. So there are lots of individuals who are freelancers, but they don't prefer to call themselves entrepreneurs. They call themselves professionals. So what they do, they sit at home, they have developed some rapport and relationship with some variety of companies, and they prefer to apply their skills for a specialized set of activity, and whatever they are paid, they consider it as a professional fee and they are happy with that, right? Now the fourth category is, there can be a freelancer and there can be a entrepreneur. An entrepreneur, like language persons, are those people who believe that they are not working as a freelancer, but it is their full-time job. So what they do, they develop their own website, they have their own entrepreneurship, a small one, agency kind. They have a brand name which they use. Premji and others are planning to set up their own business. So they will be not now professionals, they will be now entrepreneurs. We call them as small entrepreneurs. One man enterprise or one woman enterprise can also be entrepreneurship. So what they have made up their mind, that it is not only their skill which they will sell, but they will also hire people if needed. And if they start hiring people, it is no more only professional activity. It comes under the category of entrepreneurship. So this is another category. And a much little bigger category comes where you have a private limited company, you have a team, 3-4 people working for you, and it is not only your specialized language that in which you are working, you also work for other languages, although your team may not have in-house, you may not have in-house team for that. So slowly and slowly you have developed a bigger risk taking capabilities and covering those risks, and you engage in hiring more number of people, more areas of activities, and if chance comes, you scale it up to a bigger height, from one man enterprise to 5 to 10, 20, 100, 500 and thousands. So they are called small, and then a small, medium and large enterprises. Such kind of large enterprises or small medium enterprises are less in number. If you go by data graph of variety of research which has been done among linguists, 50% of the people are freelancers, right? So 50% itself is a small, big, it's not a small number. It is one man enterprise. So this is language entrepreneurship profile, I will say. Now let's come to sustaining this entrepreneurship, how long we can sustain and how we can continuously sustain it. I have met variety of entrepreneurs while trying to do my PhD research in University of Ottawa, and at that phase of time I have interacted with people, made some surveys and interviews. So I met variety of people, and out of that I will talk about 4 people, 4 kinds. I first interacted with a student. So a student, when they are studying a language, they are very naive, and they are more focused on academic pursuits, and whatever their professors or teachers say, they believe in that. So many students I noticed were interacting with some professors who were consultants, part-time consultants I talked to you about. So those kind of professors have been able to install, I will say, a high level of confidence and pride in their students by inspiring them to take challenges. So inspiration helps you structure your mind, takes you to variety of such people who are already risk takers, and you make friendship with them. Your mindset slowly and slowly, get a structure. So such kind of students, later on, may convert themselves into entrepreneurs. But there are a good number of students who are being taught by those teachers and professors who are purely into academics and they do not think beyond literature or philosophy. I'm not saying that they are doing wrong. It is their formation, I will say, or training that tells them to do it. But uh, if we look at jobs perspective or integrating with technology perspective, it becomes a problematic zone. Purely literature is very good if it is sponsored by a corporate house or a government body. Nowadays, most of the government bodies or even corporate bodies are less focusing on sponsoring, literary works or literary translations, because every government in a way has its own constraints, they have own challenges, and when they are cutting, the costs, the first thing that they do is cut these small, soft skill development, which we call, and they focus more on aggressive economic development, building infrastructure, building investment in, variety of large industry kind. And soft people, intellectuals, if they don't get patronage, they find nothing, and they remain a kind of average person, always trying to get bread and butter. So if you are not sponsored, you are gone. So if you at the college level or university level are not getting proper motivation or proper training, later on you may find yourself directionless. So my always suggestion has been to look out for something new, take up more challenging points, especially when you are a student, because at that phase of time it is the point when you have learning. So you develop your learning skills in the domain that you are studying, but at the same time you must link it with employment, funds. If you have funds, you will be able to do experiments later on also. So risk taking capability starts developing many times from the childhood, at times in the colleges, at times in the family, at times among friends, or at times among classroom, like this, or in a business school or a college. So that particular thing, is something which must be taken care. So now I have talked to a student. She didn't tell me that she had any option about entrepreneurship. She was totally directionless. She said, it is risk taking, but I'm not find myself motivated enough, and nor I'm interested in that, because I have my own agenda of doing a foreign language, and that the agenda is to become a literary translator. Okay. I met another student who had some vague idea about IT, using IT resources now, because the startup, thing has nothing. When you have a knowledge, it costs almost zero to initiate any business. You are a translator, you have a knowledge, you have a computer skill, you have an email which is free, You have a telephone line, which is mobile phone, which is also very less costly nowadays. Geo and variety of other service providers have slashed the cost. So the entry point for any business, starting a business, and even for uh, you know opening an account, you could need around 5,000 rupees. At times, if you go to a government bank, perhaps in 1,000 rupees, you will start an account. So let's say with 3,000, 5,000 rupees, you can initiate a business. Can you imagine how, anybody with little bit of risk taking capability can enter into language and translation business? But the problem is they are not motivated enough. So most of the people look for assignments, look for employment. And I'm not saying it is bad, but uh, if you get an opportunity at an earlier stage, why not give it a try and become an entrepreneur from the day one itself? So that is the point. So I interacted with that person, and that person also told me about this. Then I interacted with an agency owner, right? Successful one. She told me that when she had come to Canada, she was having some language skills, but she had faced challenges because her English was not as pure as the Canadian English. So she had to face lots of problems while trying to integrate into the British or Canadian English system, right? So what was the way out? So she was trying to explore, and then she landed up opening an agency and hired some people who were Canadians, who could do good proofreading in English, in Canadian English or even Canadian French. And luckily, Canada has lots of his sponsored translation projects because every department must translate into at least two languages, and that is French and English, right? And they have a translation bureau of Canada which takes care of all this. So she told me that she wanted to remain a translator, but out of compulsion, she entered into this business, and luckily she was doing good. Then I talked to someone who was also a director of a research center uh, for promoting translation technology. He also explained me, that translation technology is being deployed at various levels in the government. However, majority of the translators are not interested in using it, or if they 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 sort of kind of do not want to quickly integrate with translation technology tools, including the cat tools as well as artificial intelligence or machine translation tools, etc. So the bigger challenge comes there, when you are not ready to accept the change. What is the change? We are no more looking for typewriters. We are no more looking for stenographers who could accept your dictation and then you will 5 times do the proofreading thing. If we still remain in that particular stage, we will be wiped out of the market. As I have told you, the demand on translators or linguists or content writers has increased tremendously, and everybody wants quick solution in the quickest possible way. So if I am talking to you currently in English, there could be some people in Latin America expecting me to send them my speeches with subtitled in Spanish. So this should happen in parallel. If I am able to do that, I will be able to make them happy and retain good number of clients. If I don't do that, the one who will do, he or she will have the advantage. So this happens, in content writing and language business. So if we are not accepting technology, we will be, kind of preventing ourselves from the change, which is very, very imminent and dire need for everybody to accept it. So I had told you, if you recall, we must learn to accept to make use of applications, app, we say tools, we say CAD tools, memory tools, artificial intelligence tools, etc. And there again comes the action network theory of Bruno Latour, which I have just talked about. So machine, you can't escape. And a smarter machine and a smarter human resource make a deadly combination. And there your entrepreneurship will thrive. There are a variety of, I will say, open source platforms nowadays, which is very, very easily available at a very low cost. So if we start using open source platform to our advantage as a translator or as an entrepreneur, and make use of information technology tools, including the technology currently which I am using, it's not very costly, but can you imagine this kind of thing happening 20 years back, which was not possible. It was very costly affair, video conferencing. It was a big deal. People used to say there is a video conferencing facility available in this particular business center. Can you imagine? Now every Tom, Dick, Harry has a business facility on the palm, on the telephone. So if we are not able to accept that change and apply that into our system, I believe we will be able to, kind of enter into a very problematic zone. So, my friends, IT integration is a must. Also, imagine, I have always been telling people that if we as a translator wanted to have a bigger pie of a cake, which cake? Supply chain. In that supply chain, if you wanted to play important role, you should learn to manage things, not only translate text, but also get text translated if by others, get it proofread by others, use the technology, use the memory tools, learn to use the data bank, learn to use the server. All these things, small tweaking will make you a smart IT manager. And if that happens, my friend, can you imagine your linguistic capability with app server application capabilities, with terminology management capabilities, how to use these, how to prevent security breach, all these things. If we learn, what will happen? The other one who has less capability, linguistic capability, and who is bossing you as an IT manager or a project manager, he will be sidelined, and you will be entering into the front line. And with that, your prosperity comes. And if you learn all these things by experience and with certain seed money, you will start thinking of exploring entrepreneurship option and break away from the slavery of a job which keeps you on top from 9 to 5 or 10 to 6 or 7 or at times 8 o'clock. So 12 hours of journey as an employee can be converted into risk-taking capability and entrepreneurship. So with this, my friend, today I would like to close this presentation for the day. And in next class, we will talk about more with data, whatever I have expressed you. And we will also learn how to set up a translation company, what are the requirements, legal as well as human resource requirement, including chartered accountant requirement, accounting requirements, legal formalities, etc. And we'll discuss more on practical aspect of it, how to get more clients, how to develop relationship. We have already talked about all this, whatever we have just in our course, but I will try to link those dots and make it more presentable for you as an owner of a project or entrepreneur. So that's all for today. If you have any questions, any doubts, please welcome. I will be happy to answer.